Hello from our friends from all over. Wow, we have so many guests right now. I'm so glad that you are able to join us. Okay, good morning. I'm Attorney Johnny Gutierrez, a labor judge by profession. Your new host for today, as our original host, Betsy Belmonte, my friend, is experiencing some technical issues in her area right now. Welcome to Avita Philippines Doctors Forum. May I know who are the first timers here? Please chat in the chat box. Just say me. Okay. Hi, Josefa. Yes. Okay. Okay. Welcome, everyone. We are glad you find time to be with us today. Avita has been organizing such events like this to educate and promote our advocacy for preventive healthcare for all generations. We have an exceptional panel of doctors with us who will be sharing how they have personally experienced the benefits of oral cell therapy. They will share to us some valuable information, what cell therapy is all about, and why it is the better or the best option in the prevention of diseases. Are you all ready to hear from our panel of doctors? Okay, but before I introduce them to you, let me tell you about why I embrace cell therapy as a health regimen. Our family has a strong history of cancer. My mom and great-grandmother died of pancreatic cancer. My grandfather of brain cancer. And lately, my husband of ileal cancer. I personally know how physically, emotionally, and financially draining it is to have cancer in the family. The whole family suffers. That is why when Celergen was introduced to us in 2015, my husband and I embraced it after thoroughly evaluating its sources, components, clinical studies, as well as the testimonies of the people who took it. My husband was able to have quality time and life in his last moments with us. And to me, that's the most precious thing. I too was not spared from the said disease because in May 2019, I was also diagnosed with colon cancer stage 2, but there was no metastasis and I recovered fast. I was not recommended for chemotherapy, but was just advised to have my quarterly blood chemistry and monitor my CEA, or what they call the tumor marker. It has been 2 years now, and my CEA has been maintained to a normal level, and I'm living a life full of zest and happiness. All this because I take Celergen as my daily preventive health maintenance. Before I introduce to you our gracious and excellent panel of doctors, I would like please to remind everyone, if you have questions, you may type in the chat box and our advisors who are with us today will answer you back. Okay? Did you get that? So today, we are all blessed to have us with us doctors who will share with us the power of oral marine cell therapy and NGF, a natural growth factor, how we all benefit from it and live in an optimal health despite the challenging lifestyle of the 21st century, especially during this time of pandemic. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you our panel of distinguished doctors who are with us today. Dr. Tere. Dr. Tere, Teresita Evangelista, or as we affectionately call her, Dr. Tere, is a consultant of the Mary Child's General Hospital, along with the other clinics in Cubao, Quezon City, and at the same time, a company physician for HMOs. She has been practicing obstetrics and gynecology since 1991. When I first met Dr. Tere, what I remember most about her is her warm, friendly smile and her energy. Her passion for wellness led her to embrace the power of marine oral cell therapy because of her own experience. And now she recommends it to her patients, family, and friends as well. Our next is Dr. Faye Coloma. She is a radiologist and a consultant for the breast clinic for more than 20 years. She is also the head of the breast clinic of the Department of Makati Medical Center, as well as several clinics around Metro Manila. As a wellness advocate, Dr. Faye embraced the Avita opportunity to share and spread the wellness to many people, helping them to live a better life. And our third panelist is Dr. Benedict Valdecañas. He is a specialist in regenerative medicine research for both hospital-based programs and clinical applications. He utilizes the latest molecular biology has to offer in optimizing health and human performance through customized micronutrient supplementation, personalized exercise programs, and careful attention to diet and nutrition. He was among the first few medical professionals in the Philippines to understand about NGF. Today, he will share how Celergen and then NGF Plus complements in the practice of regenerative medicine. Thank you so much, doctors, for being with us today. We are truly honored. Health and wellness is in the forefront of people's mind these days. And health begins with our cells, the basic unit of our bodies. Let's all watch together this amazing video about our cells. Wow, isn't our body fascinating? Amazing to see what goes inside our body, right? I'm just imagining how we began as a single cell organism to morph into these complex cells, creating new life forms. Our cells are truly amazing, and that is why we need to take care of it. Life truly begins on the cellular level. Have you ever wondered what happens after that our cells age? Okay, let's ask Dr. Ben.
Hi, Attorney Jonah.
Hi, Doc.
Hi,
Yeah.
good morning to everyone. Do we have our slides? This is the one where we, there you go. Okay, so to answer Attorney Jonah's question, what happens to our cells, since we're talking about life here on the cellular level, what happens to our cells as we age? In fact, aging is considered as a disease as early on as during the time of Hippocrates. So if I could have the next slide. There. So the body heals itself from everyday wear and tear. This is actually a race between degeneration and regeneration. So as cells divide, as you can see in this video, there, as our cells divide, a vital part of itself is replicated into the daughter cells. And this is your DNA, coiled tightly in very tight compartments of your chromosomes. So these blueprints for your cells, for our cells, have to remain intact. And the integrity of this blueprint is practically maintained by our body through what we call cellular division and DNA repair. So cellular division, the most simple example of cellular division would be when an egg cell is fertilized by sperm. This creates a human being through a process of mitosis and meiosis, terms used in cellular reproduction. So as you can see, cells become more and more and more until they become a complete human being. Next slide. This is also the basic process for repair. So when a cell inside an organ, let's say the liver, which is the most regenerative organ in our body, another cell replaces that dying or dead cell. So you can just logically think that if we have a lot of repair that has to go on, the cells have to regenerate, they have to divide, they have to replicate a lot more. But cell division is not finite. It's not infinite, rather. It's not unlimited or bottomless, as we would say it, or as we would call it. Next slide. So cells have a finite number of divisions in their lifetime. So when a cell reaches that limit, it starts dying, and this is called this process is called senescence or cellular senescence. So this is when a cell cannot divide anymore because its DNA is not intact anymore. The integrity of the DNA has been compromised. This is also what the underlying cause for the concept for what Attorney Jonah mentioned earlier, cancer. When a cell becomes uncontrolled or uncontrollable in its cell division with damaged DNA, this creates a tumor rather than life or an organ. And these tumors are uncontrollable in their spread and in their growth. So we don't want our cells going into senescence prematurely. So we have to make sure that these blueprints in the DNA are maintained without compromise. Next slide. Now, this brings us to the concept of telomeres. Telomeres are those caps or particularly a series of codes in your DNA that protect the DNA itself. Meaning, as each cell divides a number of times, this series of codes become less and less. So in other words, you use up your nucleotides or your protection. in computer gaming, this is called your lives. So if you consume your lives, then your player dies. And this is the same with cells. So once the telomeres are used up, a DNA inside the cell is no longer protected against injury. And when the DNA is compromised, then the daughter cells are not of functional use or not of good use. And this is also, like I said, the concept behind how cancer replicates or cancers grow. Next slide.
Okay, how can cell therapy in this process help, Dr. Ben?
Okay. Um, Back in about maybe 2 or 3 decades ago, I was probably one of the doctors who would discourage patients when they ask me, "Doctor, what would be a good supplement or vitamin?" And I would just tell my patients, just eat a well-balanced diet and you will get everything that your body needs to repair and regenerate itself. I could not be more wrong. Now studies abound about how micronutrient deficiency is very common even in cases wherein a person is very, very conscious of his or her diet. And as we all know, most of us here have never been or used to have no concern about our diet. So when a DNA needs to maintain its integrity, it has to repair itself. It has to review. There is a machinery inside our DNA or our chromosomes that check and recheck each strand, each code of genetic material before it is replicated. So that's part of the process of cell division. Now, if this process finds that one or two or three or even more codes in the DNA is not correct anymore, then this starts a process of aging in the cell or senescence and prevents that cell from dividing and propagating the wrong code. So this is actually called DNA repair when the DNA is still capable of repairing itself or correcting that wrong code. And this is how the cells prevent mutation. Mutation is practically the basis for all diseases. It's not like what you see in the Avengers movies when you have special powers. Mutations are actually when your code is not correct anymore and the process of life is affected. A basic example is diabetes. When your cells inside your pancreas become mutated and can no longer create or make that necessary insulin to control your blood sugar, then that's when diabetes starts. This is the basis for the proper functioning of the cell, DNA repair. The problem is not everything that the body needs to repair itself we can get from our diet, no matter how well balanced we think it is. Next slide, as this next slide will show. There. So that's where we need supplementation to be able to supply everything that the body needs to repair and maintain its cellular integrity. Next slide. Now, the good thing about cellular supplementation or supplementation in the cellular level is that it focuses on DNA repair. It focuses on guarding the integrity of our genetic material so that each and every offspring of all our cells will be exactly the same and function the same way as the parent cell. So a liver cell will give rise to a properly functioning daughter liver cells and maintain the integrity of that organ, which we know is our main organ for detoxification for everything that we put inside our body. Now, cellular supplementation has to be safe, of course, as any supplementation would or any supplement would be. It has to be potent so that you don't have to take it so much and yet have its effect be very visible or noticeable in the body. In fact, a lot of my patients, particularly athletes, they notice that they need to continue cellular supplementation when they start running out of supply. So they've noticed the difference when they are off the supplement. So why is that? Because biocompatibility of cellular supplementation can never go wrong because it targets the cellular process. So it has to be biocompatible not only for on the basis of absorption, the body should be able to absorb it, but it has to work right into the cellular processes. It has to be a plug and play kind of thing. The body does not have to metabolize it. The body does not have to convert it to so many substances or molecules for it to take effect. So when you talk about cellular supplementation, you get this on the cellular level. And of course, to be able to do all of these things, it has to be natural. So it's compatible with cellular process, be it in a human or from its source, the salmon. That's why it's called the marine cellular supplement. Next slide. Now, this brings us to what components there is in this natural cellular supplement we call Celergen. It has the bio-DNA cellular marine complex derived from deep sea fish. And these marine complexes are actually in itself a combination of different nucleotides. Now, nucleotides are the basic building blocks of our DNA. So when one nucleotide is lost, that changes the code in your blueprint or your genetic blueprint. And the cell should be able to repair that right there and then. But if it does not have a constant supply of nucleotide that it can readily use, then that repair goes wrong. Now, peptide E collagen is a substance that is very natural for these cartilaginous fishes. Now, a very important degenerative hallmark of aging in humans is that our collagen, our cartilages wear out faster than it should. So we get joint pains, our skin sag, we look older than we should be looking. So this peptide E collagen that again is readily usable by the human body comes into play in supplying and maintaining the integrity of our collagen molecule. Now, hydroMN peptide is known to hydrate the cells. The human body is 65% water. You also notice that if you start drinking more and more water and fulfilling that daily fluid requirement of 3 liters per day, you become less sick, you become more energetic, and you tend to look younger. This is where hydroMN peptide comes in. It maintains that little fluid that we give our bodies and uses it for primarily cellular processes on the molecular level. Okay, lutein is an amino acid that is important in the production of all the non-essential amino acids in the body. Now, the problem is lutein itself is an essential amino acid, meaning it cannot be produced by the body, so you have to take it from food. Grape skin extract is a known antioxidant. It contains substances that can neutralize your free radicals that we get a lot of, not only from the food that we eat, but also from our exposure to toxic environments. And of course, last but not the least, your CoQ10, a basic coenzyme in all cellular processes, be it for metabolism, repair, and normal daily functioning. Next slide.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Ben, for that insight. Aging is truly a disease when we don't take care of ourselves. Everything begins and ends with ourselves. It's the root cause of every disease. Okay. Now, Dr. Faye, what do you think is the main cause of modern diseases today? Dr. Faye, please unmute.
Well, Attorney Jonah, in this, I have to emphasize on inflammation. We develop the so-called modern diseases like heart diseases, diabetes, cancer, arthritis, and other diseases because of our inflammatory lifestyle, meaning our lifestyle triggers inflammation, such as unhealthy diet, stress, no exercise, and even lack of sleep. Inflammation happens to everyone, whether you are aware or not, even the young. As I have witnessed in my practice in the breast clinic, the youngest I handled is as young as 14 years old. So we must know what inflammation. To define it, it's our body's immune system response to fight against infection, injury, or disease. This is our body's first line defense. The causes of inflammation are from pathogens like bacteria, virus, fungi. Other is external injuries like splinter from foreign bodies in our fingers or other parts of the body. Other causes are exposure to chemical radiations or irritants. Do you know that there are cardinal signs of inflammation? The cardinal signs of inflammations are pain, heat, redness, swelling, loss of function, as shown in this screen. And there are two types of inflammation, acute and chronic. Chronic inflammation plays a vital role in healing, but chronic inflammation may increase the risk of various diseases such as cancers, rheumatoid arthritis, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases. What we are most concerned of is the chronic inflammation. Actually, it's been more than 10 years ago. We have been warned about the dangers of inflammation. Internal inflammation is a secret killer because we cannot see or feel it immediately. We are not aware until the illnesses and diseases surfaces, as explained by our fellow panelists. Constant bombardment by free radicals is causing the cells to be in perpetual repair process, which means the inflammatory response is constantly on and is become chronic inflammations. Thus, an alarming 90 chronic diseases are caused by the free radical damage or oxidative stress. Among us, do we know someone who has cancer or any cardiovascular issues? Yes, I know you know someone. Thus, would you agree with me? If we can prevent chronic inflammation, we can prevent chronic diseases.
Okay, Dr. Faith. Okay. How can Celergen now help in these health issues? Can you explain to us?
Well, Celergen takes care of, Celergen is a oral cell therapy from marine origin. It's the world's first oral cell therapy that comes from marine species. Celergen takes care of all cells in the body. Healthy cells must be protected from free radical damage. Damaged cell must be prepared to function properly. And old cells must be replaced with new healthy cells. Celergen works in three simple ways. Firstly, it removes the free radicals that causes cellular damage. Next, it replenishes the high quality materials to make new cells. And lastly, it regulates the genetic and cellular activity. In this scientific study on human liver cancer cells, Celergen has shown to have effects on cell apoptosis or cell natural death by as much as 30%, and with significant reduction in the activity of CMY, oncogene. This is a very promising result on Celergen's ability to regulate genetic activity, since the CMYC oncogene is found to be responsible for other top cancers as indicated in this slide. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Faith. Yes, Celergen addresses our modern lifestyle diseases, reducing or removing chronic inflammation, healing down in the root cause. But how does this all work? Let's ask Dr. Tere. Dr. Tere, can you tell us what makes Celergen work?
One of its key ingredients is a proprietary bio-DNA cellular marine complex, which is a very strong antioxidant. This is a special ingredient found only in Celergen and is not available in other supplements. It is extracted from the DNA of deep marine cell life, specifically from salmon and herring. This was found to be, in nearly 30 years of research, it is found to be a powerful anti-aging supplement or component. Lutein protects the eyes from cataract, macular degeneration, glaucoma, floaters, and we have grape skin extract or resveratrol, good for the cardiovascular health. Coenzyme Q10 sparks energy production, enhances heart function, and reduces cholesterol. These ingredients of Celergen are high-quality nutrients that the cell needs for the prevention of disease. Celergen has a wide range of antioxidants that is synergistically blended. As Dr. Villacano said, peptide E collagen is used to repair and regenerate new cells. Elastin increases the elasticity of skin and blood vessel. Hydro-MN peptide improves joint motility, reduces pain and glycemic index. It also promotes satiation. It has unsurpassed worldwide accreditations. Of great mention is the current good manufacturing practice certificate, meaning it is a more controlled form of management and quality control in manufacturing. It exhibits full compliance to US FDA and the Department of Agriculture, USA. It has Swiss export attestation certification, and most of all, it is banned substance control group certified drug-free. This means that it underwent the most comprehensive combination of drug testing, protection, and general quality control assurance available in the supplement certification industry.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tere. So let me recap. Celergen is a Swiss-made marine oral cell therapy. It repairs, regenerates, and rejuvenates our cells. It is drug-free that even world-class athletes can take it. It is a super antioxidant supplement that is pharmaceutical grade with more than 30 accreditations. And finally, all the ingredients of Celergen are synergistically blended together to give us this powerful marine oral cell therapy. Okay, doctors, are you taking Celergen or recommending it to your patients as well? Can you share with us your personal experience with Celergen, as well as to some of your patients or family or friends who have benefited from Celergen? Maybe let's start with Dr. Ben.
Thank you, Attorney Jonah. As you know, I strongly recommend Celergen to my athletes who I take care of a lot of. And like I mentioned earlier, they notice the difference with or in terms of rate of recovery from competition or even training, such that they panic when they are about to run out because they really notice the difference. I myself have been taking it for more than 8 years now, and that's also the same experience that I have. I feel weaker, and I really notice that it takes me a longer time because I'm not that young anymore. It takes me a longer time to recovery from my exercise programs or from the races that I've been participating in. So yes, I will not do away with it in my clinic practice, particularly sports medicine. And I strongly recommend it for those who would like to try it, and you will know the difference.
Okay, Doc. I know that you're also had the experience of taking natural growth factor or NGF. Can you explain more about it and why it's preventive health, why it is a preventive healthcare for all generations?
Well, I actually was introduced very early on through the research of Dr. Lim Kameng in Singapore. And during that time, my mother was going through the early stages of Alzheimer's. So it's not really my personal experience per se or directly, but it was the first thing that popped into my head when Dr. Lim introduced me to the technology was my mom, my mother. Uh, as we all know, neurodegenerative diseases are the most difficult to treat or even manage in the medical profession. I did mention before that, or earlier, that the liver is the most reproductive or regenerative organ in the body. And this was recognized even in the Greek mythologic times. On the other end of the spectrum, neurons and brain cells, particularly, are the slowest. In fact, there was a time during our medical training that we even thought that nerve cells do not regenerate. And that's why we have billions of this, so that when one or two disappear or die, we are not really that debilitated, but we were proven wrong after 2 or 3 decades. One single neuron is as essential as a microchip in your smartphone. When one malfunctions, and worse, if a lot of this network malfunction in the same network, you end up, or you begin suffering from neurodegenerative diseases. What are these? Dementia, memory loss to begin with, in coordination of thoughts, difficulty in trying to reach for words. These are all early symptoms that I saw in my mother when she was developing Alzheimer's. After a few months, 2 to 3 to be exact, of giving her NGF, or natural growth factor, which I'm sure some of my colleagues here will elaborate on later, we noticed a difference. One of the early symptoms that my mom exhibited was the difficulty in reaching out for words to create a sentence. That improved after a mere 30 days of taking NGF. She also was able to maintain eye contact, which was also lost during the early ages, the early stages of her Alzheimer's. Unfortunately, and as we all know, Alzheimer's is a very progressive, or a rapidly progressive. At least we were able to enjoy her for 8 years more, and we were able to communicate with her still during the first half or even 3/4 of this 8 years. And I think the NGF helped, along with other therapies that we also instituted with my mother.
Okay. 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 Thank you, Dr. Ben, for sharing your personal experience with us. Celergen and NGF, both forms of oral cell therapy, has revolutionized supplementation for our body. It's given hope for those who would otherwise just exist waiting for their time to pass. What about you, Dr. Faye? Do you have also any personal experience you can share with us about Celergen? Dr. Faye, please unmute, please. Okay, Doc.
Yes, Attorney Jonah. When I first knew about Celergen, the first person I thought of was my mom. It was 2017. My mom had an eye condition where partial blindness was starting to set in. After consulting an eye specialist, she was diagnosed of having macular degeneration and cataract. She underwent 2 consecutive surgeries due to cataract. And after the 2 surgeries, she could only see waves and black shadows of people. She would just recognize people by the sound of their voice. This condition made her really feel uncomfortable. That's when I gave her Celergen in the hope of visual improvement. After months passed, we were delighted to see that he could read big letters on the alphabet board, and the waves were gone. Her doctor was happy about the big progress. We attributed all to Celergen, as she was not taking any medications. Next, my sister Hope. I encouraged her to start Celergen due to her condition. She was in the process of recovery from a minor surgery due to an accident. The doctor put 2 metal implants into her leg. She had problems with physical work. She started Celergen, and now it's been 3 years. It gave her strength and vitality. Then after that, I shared it also to my friend and colleague, Dr. Angie Recto, who has psoriasis. She also developed psoriatic arthritis and colitis. Both diseases are due to inflammation. During that time, she had also difficulty in sleeping, lack of energy, and low immune system. She said Celergen has an immediate effect on her after a few days of intake. She was able to sleep soundly and deeply. Now she is enjoying life full of vitality. She is also a wellness advocate who goes on to share with those who might be in similar conditions. Thank
Wow.
you.
Thank you, Dr. Kay. It's so important for us to prevent rather than waiting for a cure, for it may be too late then. I'm happy for you that your mom is now able to read big letters, thanks to Celergen. How
Yes.
about Dr. Tere? I'm sure you also have your own personal experience with Celergen. And why do you recommend it to others? Dr. Tere?
Yes. When my good friend Dr. Teresita Catis and I got together after many years, I noticed that her skin was smoother and blemish-free. She was full of spirit and energy, much younger than I remembered her during our training days when she was my senior in, in obstetrics and gynecology. And that was 30 years ago. We attended together a talk on the oral marine cell therapy Celergen. And my curiosity was tweaked when she said she had already started Celergen. She's no longer hypertensive. Her enlarged heart has returned to normal. Her dermatitis controlled and her white hair is growing to gray hair. I was hesitant at first, so I did my own research and attended more talks and was finally convinced on its veracity and effectiveness. I decided to try Celergen, and after a few weeks, I noticed that I would wake up to mornings without experiencing the joint pains and lethargy that I presumed was part of aging. I remembered sadly, if only I learned about Celergen earlier, I would have given it to my husband who suffered for many years from end-stage lung disease or COPD. He might not have developed the excruciating suffering of difficulty of breathing and the toxic effects of the many maintenance medicines that he had. I have a long history of hypercholesterolemia, diabetes, hyperuricemia, and alongside that is various kinds of cancer. So I thought I should use Celergen as a tool to further armor myself from this lineage. I benefited certainly from the Celergen and also began to prescribe it to my friends and patients. One of the many was a dear friend, Dr. Erlinda Sabili, who is a practicing internal medicine, psychiatry, and pain management doctor in the US. She benefited personally from Celergen with renewed energy and vitality, improvement in mental health, with a score of 97% in her licensure renewal exam. She only made 2 mistakes out of 105 questions. She also did her thorough research, and ever since, she has been recommending Celergen to her family and patients. Thank you, attorney.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Tere. It just proves to show that we never know whose life we affect by just sharing the goodness of Celergen. It has truly been an amazing forum, and I salute doctors like Dr. Ben, Dr. Faye, and Dr. Tere for openly embracing the power of oral cell therapy, Celergen and NGF for preventive healthcare for all generations and recommending it to their patients. I too also take Celergen, NGF, and the many products of Avita because it truly makes me healthy. All right. Now it's time for our question and answer portion. You can type in the chat box for our advisors who are all here present all the way from Singapore with us today, and they can answer you. So this is your chance, my dear kababayan. Type your questions. Okay, doctors, we do have questions here from our audience. This one is for Dr. Ben. Doc, how should one take Celergen?
It's recommended to be taken once daily. Usually, I recommend it to be taken at bedtime because this is the time also that your body regenerates mostly rather. When you go to sleep, and this is helped by natural secretion of melatonin, your growth hormone follows suit, and growth hormone is very important in the regeneration and repair of all the wear and tear that you accumulated over the day. And if your body does not have what it needs in this repair phase or regenerative phase, then a lot of these wear and tear is carried on to the following day or the next day. So I usually recommend this at bedtime or after dinner. Uh, Unfortunately, there are those who have difficulty sleeping because they're quite sensitive to the stimulant effect of the supplements. So if that's the case, then they can take it with breakfast instead.
Okay, thank you, Doc. Dr. Faye, this is a question for you. There will be some of us who are taking maintenance medication. How do you advise them to combine with Celergen? Dr. Faye?
Well, firstly, I must emphasize Celergen is not a drug. It is a food supplement. Use Celergen to supplement your cell nutrition, to bring your body up to its optimum level while keeping inflammation away. When taking with medication, ensure that it is taken 2 hours apart. Do not self-medicate or stop your maintenance meds. And I strongly advise to consult your physician for your medical conditions.
Okay. Thank you, Doc Faye. Dr. Tere, what is the recommended time to take Celergen and NGF? Please guide us.
Celergen is best taken and absorbed on an empty stomach 20 minutes before breakfast. If a person has gastric concerns like hyperacidity or gastroesophageal reflex, you can take it 2 hours after breakfast. For NGF, you can start with 1 capsule after dinner for the first 2 weeks, then maybe increase it to 2 to 4 capsules depending on the patient's condition. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for those questions, everyone. Finally, our doctors, do you have some final words for our audience on preventive healthcare? Dr. Ben?
Uh, well, there's still no, even though Celergen seems to sound like a silver bullet for perfect health, it's not. There's none that exists, and there never will be something like a silver bullet for good health. So this is always a collaboration or a cooperation between many or a handful of measures that you can do, and this of course starts with a healthy diet. Look at your macronutrients, the balancing of your carbohydrates, your fats, and your proteins. Second, regular exercise. As I always tell our patients and our clients, the body was designed since the prehistoric times to be moving constantly. So this sedentary lifestyle that we have adopted over the last decades because of the industrialization of our world is not really good. It has shortened our lifespan to half our cellular potential. And last but not the least, since we always mention that not everything your body needs to rebuild, regenerate, and repair itself is found in our daily diet, no matter how well balanced you think it is, we really, really need to supplement and supply all these micronutrients to our body.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Ben, for that. How about Dr. Faye?
Well, working in the clinic where majority of my patients are women, they come to us asking for ways to have vitality and look younger, having healthy skin. Celergen offer an alternative with results that often surpass their expectations. I would recommend everyone to get started with Celergen as a tool to maintain optimum health.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Faye. How about you, Dr. Tere?
When one reaches the twilight years in life, I have watched as my loved ones succumb slowly and yes, get tired of living a very painful and tired life. Some of them because of the pain of the big C being too much, or also mostly because of complications of the diseases. My own beloved husband died from end-stage lung disease. How I wish I knew about Celergen. Would oral cell therapy not be a better option early on? Why wait for the rigors or the onset of aging to befall us? With Celergen, we can now have a choice to alleviate our aging years. Let's all look forward to spending more years with our loved ones. Let's
Okay.
all and not be a burden to them when our time comes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, dear doctors, for your time and your insights. Please, everyone, let's give them our heart emojis to show our deep appreciation. What I learned was a strong immune system is the first line of defense. We need to strengthen our immune system, and Celergen, along with NGF, a very powerful super antioxidant, can boost our immune system. Let's not wait until it's too late. Prevention is always better than cure. Do you agree with me? So, everyone, how do we get started with Celergen and NGF? We have our special promos for this webinar alone. Celergen VIP package for 6 boxes, 76,000 pesos. And then we have also the silver package. It's 13 boxes plus 1 for only 192,400 pesos. And then for the whole family, premium silver package, 18 boxes promo for 228,000 pesos. We also have our NGF special promo, buy 10 plus 3 for 82,000 pesos. And our limited time introductory promo of 4 boxes plus 1 for only 32,800. This is good or limited only from today, September 25 until September 28. So grab it. And get to the person who invited you and get started boosting your immune system. Okay?